Hello everyone. In this lesson we are going to learn a few things about keys. Now this is a very extensive topic. We'll have more talks about it, especially when we talk about normalization. But for the time being, I would like to talk about what a primary key is, what a unique key is, and what a foreign key is. We'll also take a look at sequences, which SQL Server refers to as identities. Let's go ahead and go back to our student table. I'm going to right-click this and choose Design to go back into Design View. As you recall, we created a student ID, which we put as a big integer. We also have a social security number. Now, somebody might say, well, why don't we just use the social security number to identify students? There may be legal problems behind that. People steal each other's social security numbers all the time. So it's a better idea to avoid those problems and actually assign a unique identifier for each record in the table. That unique identifier is generally called a primary key. So we have a couple of candidate keys, namely the student ID and the social security number. Between the two of them, and there's a formal process for doing this usually, but between the two of them we're going to go with the student ID as being the primary key. So why is it called a primary key? Well, the primary key is unique in the table. It cannot be duplicated. Two people may have the same exact first name, middle initial, last name, but their primary keys will be different. So as long as they know their student ID, we can pull up their record correctly. To designate a field as a primary key, we simply select this. We can either click this little key icon here, or we can just right-click it and choose Set Primary Key right here. Notice when it's a primary key that allow nulls is automatically unchecked. Now I had unchecked this ahead of time, but a primary key cannot be null. Furthermore, SQL Server organizes the table by default, indexes it based on whatever is designated as the primary key. You can only have one primary key per table. Now it is possible to have a combination of fields, be it the primary key, but the combination has to be unique, of course. We'll have an example of that in another table a little later in this series. Alright, now that I have this, I could go ahead and save this table again. But what I would like to do is, instead of having the primary key be designated by me like I did for Bugs Bunny, I want this to be generated automatically. This is called a sequence in most relational database management systems. However, SQL Server refers to it as an identity. So once I have the field selector, I can go down here to the properties. If I scroll down a little bit, I do come across this identity specification, which you can see says no right now. There's a little arrow next to it, so I'm going to click that. Is this an identity? Yes, it is. So I'll just change this to a yes. How would you like to increment it? Well, I like to increment it, let's say, by one value at a time, and the seed is going to be 1001, which is what I had for Bugs Bunny. I'll press enter here, and then I will go ahead and save it. All right, let's go ahead and close this table, and let's go down, right-click it, and choose Edit Top 200 Rows. So I have Bugs Bunny already. Notice that as this is different from the past time that we looked at this table, at the null is in a different color. I can't actually put a value in here. If I try to, it will not let me. But if I go over here, first name, and type Daffy, the duck, and Daffy lives at 100 Pond Avenue in, let's say, Los Angeles, California, 90210. 301-555-1313, and let's say Daffy was born in 1951, 0809. And I will not give Daffy a social security number because I don't have it yet. Notice when I press the tab key that it automatically became 1002. Now, as long as this table remains the way it is, these numbers will not be repeated. Even if I were to delete Daffy Duck at some point and add him again, or add another student account in here, student row in here, the identity of 1002 is gone. It will not be repeated. This is just an ongoing process. It's going to keep increasing it as we go through that. So this is what a primary key is. Great. Let's go ahead and close this table. Let's right-click the student table again and go back to Design View. Now, even though the Social Security number is not the primary key, I want to prevent a person who from accidentally or even purposefully putting in a Social Security number that's already there. I don't want to allow duplicates. I want to have some integrity for this table, and that's what we're getting at. We're getting into this integrity issue. So I'm going to go to the Social Security field right here. I'm going to right-click and choose. You notice there's nothing that says, for instance, uniqueness anywhere in here. It's a little bit of a, chasing chasing the what's the word I'm looking for? Going after and trying to find where this thing is when you first get into this. But the reason you don't see it is because SQL Server refers to uniqueness as part of being indexes and keys. And you can see that we do have indexes and keys right here. Notice that there is a key already created, the primary key _ student. And what I would like to do is I would like to add something else. And notice that it by default puts an IX in front of it, student. That's the name it assigned it. I can change that, and in fact I will. I'm going to call this unique. I'll put UQ in front of it. And instead of just saying student, I'm going to put in SSN here too. So I know that I'm dealing with the Social Security field. In fact, if I want to be really precise, I'll do S_SSN. Now, I don't want to deal with an index. We'll deal with indexes later. This is not an index. This is a unique key. So that's what I put in there. And exactly what field is this being set on? Let's actually take a look at that. Well, right now, saying I want to put this on the ID, which I don't want it to do that. So I'm going to click the three little ellipses here, and I will put it on the Social Security number right here. It says you want to sort it by ascending. It really doesn't matter. So I have the column Social Security number. I'm saying it's going to be unique. It's a unique key. I gave it a name, which is mostly internally important. We will discuss about what a clustered versus an unclustered uniqueness or index is in a later video on indexes. But yes, it's going to be unclustered. You don't have the option of making it clustered actually, because the primary key is the clustered one. Let's just keep that in mind, and we're good for the time being. I'm going to click close, and I'm going to click save. All right, let's actually test this. I'm going to go back outside, and I'm going to right click this and choose to edit top 200 rows. I'm going to go back to Daffy, and I'm going to purposefully try to put in the same Social Security number as Bugs Bunny. 111223333. And when I do that, it comes up saying row was not updated. It wasn't committed. Violation of unique key constraint, and there is a unique key constraint that we created. Cannot insert duplicate key in object. Okay, so I have to put in something different. So I'm going to put 224444 and press the tab key, and Daffy has now been inserted. So you hopefully understand what a primary key is, what a unique key is. Primary keys are unique by default, and in fact they're clustered. We'll discuss that at a later point, what a clustered index is, what a clustered key is. But for the time being, just remember that the primary key itself is also unique. And of course, we created a unique key on the Social Security number. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for being a great audience. As always, if you enjoyed these videos, please share them with your loved ones and others who may be interested in learning this.